see. Carter, how would you answer this central question?
I would say it starts at Egypt and it goes to Afghanistan.
Okay, so the Middle East goes from... So Carter's saying, hey, the Middle East goes from Egypt to Afghanistan. I want you to go back to your source and find information in either the first or the second source that shows that this is one way you can answer this. So once you write this down, flip back to your packet. What evidence sources do we have that quotes things it says in the sources? What could support what Carter's saying? That it goes from Saudi Arabia, or that it goes from Egypt to Afghanistan. Flip back to your sources. Is anyone finding evidence to support what Carter's saying, that it goes from Egypt to Afghanistan? A little bit? Okay. Carter, what was the evidence you were thinking of?
The other countries like Afghanistan or even Somalia have ties to countries that are co-regions.
Is that source 2 or source 1? Source 1. Okay. So we could talk about source 1 sort of here. Okay. What other things can we use to support that claim? Well, what were you thinking?
Well, it doesn't get it exactly. It goes a little bit further, but it kind of says it's in source 2. It's the second paragraph. The Middle East includes the land around the southern and eastern shores of the Mediterranean Sea. It extends from Morocco to the Arabian Peninsula and Iran, and according to some definitions, sometimes beyond.
Okay. Does this support what Carter's saying? Does it?
No.
It sort of does. But what's different? So we're getting there. So here's the deal. We're trying to find evidence for Carter's claim. And who here is like struggling to find evidence? Okay. So if we're struggling to find evidence, what can we do with our claim?
Change it a little bit.
Could we modify the claim a little bit? So based on the evidence, Carter, how could we modify your claim a little bit to match the evidence?
Maybe from Egypt to like Iran, and then to like Afghanistan.
Okay, so you're saying now from Egypt to Iran. And which source supports or says that it goes from Egypt to Iran? What source is that?
First one.
The first one. Does that seem like a reasonable change based on the evidence? Does it? Okay, so let's go back. And historians do that. They look at evidence and they decide, you know what, actually, I'm not sure if I can support my claim, so let me go back and change it. So we're going to go back to page 5. We're going to cross out Afghanistan. And what was the country you modified it to? Carter, you said? Iran, okay. So, if we go from Egypt to Iran, what source supports that? I think you guys already figured it out. You can just tell me. What source is it? Source, and what's the name of source 1?
Middle East pattern.
Okay, Middle East. And what was did we find a quote that supported that? I know you guys are writing. Flip that. Could someone tell me, someone who could flip back, and I'll put this up. Let's figure out what the quote is that supports that the Middle East goes from Egypt to Iran. You finish writing and see if you can find that quote. Will, did you find something? Got it? Okay. Will, can you give us the quote? We're not going to write the whole thing, just a part of it. What's the quote?
We agree that the region extends I'm just going to say the sentence, and it says,
Sure.
We agree that the region extends from the western border of Egypt to the eastern border of Iran.
Does that support what Carter's claim was?
Yes.
The region extends from, it was the western border?
Yeah.
Western border of Egypt. And then I'm going to put an ellipsis. Why am I putting an ellipsis rather than writing the whole thing? Just say it out. Yeah, it's too long, and these are notes. Could we find this quote when we go back to our source?
Yes.
Yeah, we know where it is. We have the beginning of it. Okay. Okay, we're actually going to leave the reasoning part for right now. And we're going to quickly do a second claim. When you finish writing, see if you can come up with a different claim than the one Carter came up with. What's a different way that you could say, like, hey, these countries are in the Middle East? What's a different answer or claim than the one Carter generated? Talk at your groups when you're done writing.